There is someone thinking about you right now, playing the tape of your shared history on a continuous, almost obsessive loop in their mind. But this situation is far more complex than a simple, straightforward story of regret. The energy I am picking up on is incredibly heavy with contrast, the undeniable, lingering warmth of what you two used to be, clashing violently against the cold reality of the present moment. They want you back, that much is entirely clear in the energetic field. Yet as they look at you now, standing so firmly in your own power, a profound realization has hit them like a sudden drop in temperature. They know deep down in their bones that something fundamental has irrevocably changed between you. Welcome back to my channel. I am so deeply grateful to have your energy here with me in this space today. Please remember, this is a general reading for the collective. Take what resonates deeply with your soul and gracefully leave the rest behind. Always trust your own intuition above all else. There is a powerful, unseen dynamic playing out in the background of your life right now, something silently unfolding in the quiet, empty spaces between the words you left unspoken. This person from your past, someone who still holds a surprisingly heavy weight in your energetic orbit, is currently sitting in a profound state of silent observation. They are watching you, perhaps not physically in your day-to-day life, but energetically, emotionally tracing the outline of who you used to be for them. But there is a thick, almost palpable fog of hidden thoughts and heavily guarded feelings surrounding them right now. They aren't saying everything. In fact, they might not be saying anything at all to you in the physical world, but in the spiritual realm, their soul is practically screaming your name. Something massive is happening behind the scenes. This isn't just a fleeting moment of late-night nostalgia or a temporary, passing pang of loneliness. It feels much deeper, much more rooted in a profound psychological shift that is currently taking place within the quiet corridors of their own mind. They are having full conversations with you in the shower. They are rehearsing elaborate apologies while driving alone in their car, desperately trying to find the precise words to bridge the massive, terrifying gap that has grown between you. You might even be feeling this energetic pull, completely unprompted in your waking life. Have you been getting sudden, unexplainable waves of anxiety or waking up at strange hours of the night with them heavily, inexplicably on your mind? That is the tether. That is their energy reaching across the invisible divide, desperately trying to see if the door is completely locked or if there is even the smallest crack of light still showing underneath. But they are absolutely terrified to knock, because the energy they are feeling radiating off of you is completely unfamiliar to them now. As I start pulling this heavy energy into focus and placing the cards on the table, the very first thing that drops into the field is this incredibly poignant, almost bittersweet wave of memory. I'm seeing the Six of Cups energy, but it is deeply cloaked in a heavy shadow. This feels exactly like someone sitting alone on a rainy afternoon, slowly sorting through old, faded photographs in a dusty attic, feeling the acute, physical ache of a time when things were simpler. They are remembering when the connection between you flowed naturally, without all of the agonizing friction and painful misunderstandings that eventually tore it apart. They are deeply, undeniably anchored in the past right now. They remember the exact sound of your laugh. They recall the specific, beautiful way you looked at them when you fully, naively trusted them. But this memory isn't bringing them warmth or comfort anymore. It is bringing them an acute, overwhelming sense of grief. It's a haunting. They are literally being haunted by the ghost of the relationship they took for granted. And then, right beside that nostalgia, the energy shifts violently. The atmosphere in the room drops, becoming very serious, very profound. This is the death card energy showing up, but I want you to look at it not as a simple ending, but rather as an unavoidable, visceral, and permanent transformation. I'm seeing an incredibly vivid image of a bridge that has completely burned down, the wooden planks reduced to ashes that are still smoldering in the wind. They are standing perfectly still on one side of the river, and you are standing miles away on the other. They desperately want to walk back over to you, but the structure that used to hold you both is entirely, permanently gone. The realization hitting them right now is absolutely staggering. They cannot just casually pick up where you left off. The old dynamic is completely dead. The person they used to be in relation to you, and the person you used to be in relation to them. Those past versions of yourselves simply no longer exist in this timeline. This sudden realization is bringing up a tremendous, paralyzing amount of hesitation within their spirit. They are pacing back and forth on their side of the riverbank. I'm seeing intentions forming brightly in their mind and then immediately collapsing under the weight of fear. They deeply want to reach out, they want to send that message or make that phone call, but their hand literally freezes over the screen. Why? Because they are suddenly, intensely aware of their own reflection, and they do not necessarily like the person staring back at them. The massive spiritual transformation you have undergone has acted as a giant, unavoidable mirror held directly up to their own lack of evolution. This feels like a profound emotional buildup. It is the heavy, suffocating pressure in the air right before a massive, sky-splitting thunderstorm breaks. They are holding on to all these unspoken apologies, these sudden, painful epiphanies about how incredibly poorly they handled the situation. But the fear of your ultimate rejection is a physical, impenetrable wall blocking their path. The emotional weight of this realization is pulling them down, keeping them entirely stagnant even as their heart screams to move forward toward you. Let's look a little closer at the specific characters playing out on this deeply complex energetic stage. Because the stark contrast here is absolutely vital to understanding why this current situation feels so incredibly tense. First, we have this person from your past. The energy radiating from them right now is incredibly quiet, but it is a heavy, burdened, almost suffocating kind of quiet. This is someone who is fundamentally drowning in their own 2020 hindsight. They are currently operating from a space of deep, silent regret. In the past, this person may have presented themselves to you as aloof, detached, entirely unbothered, or perfectly in control of their emotions. They may have been the one arrogantly holding all the cards, dictating the pace, the rules, and the ultimate depth of your connection. But the tables have entirely, universally turned. Now their defining characteristic is an intense, inescapable internal rumination. They are retreating far back into themselves, overanalyzing every single misstep, every single moment they chose their foolish pride over genuine vulnerability. Every time they walked away when their soul was begging them to stay. They aren't projecting this emotional chaos outward. They are holding it all tightly inside, making their external energy feel incredibly dense, heavy, and inaccessible. They are trapped in a psychological prison of their own making, constructed entirely out of painful what-ifs and agonizing if-onlys. And then there is you. The contrast between you two right now is absolutely blinding. If they are the heavy, stagnant energy of a deeply clouded, unmoving pond, you are a rapidly moving, crystal clear, immensely powerful river. Your energy is vibrant, beautifully detached, and profoundly elevated. You have entirely moved away from the desperate, aching need for their validation or their approval. You are no longer waiting anxiously by the phone, no longer exhausting yourself trying to decode their confusing, mixed signal behavior. You are embodying a highly self-possessed, newly crowned energy. There is a sense of intense, beautiful curiosity surrounding you now, but crucially, it is not curiosity about them. It is a brilliant curiosity about your own life, your own limitless potential, your own spectacular future. You are absolutely radiant. But I am also vividly picking up on a subtle third energy here, a shadow dynamic lingering quietly in the background. This feels like a heavy external influence that severely complicated things between you in the past. It doesn't necessarily feel like a romantic third party. Rather, it feels like the heavy, suffocating influence of outside expectations, a demanding career, toxic friends, or even their own deeply ingrained, unhealed societal conditioning. This external energy was the loudly beating drum they used to blindly march to, the easy distraction they used to avoid doing the deep, necessary, and often painful emotional work with you. In the past, they constantly prioritized this loud external noise over the quiet, steady, beautiful rhythm of your connection. Now, however, the volume of that external influence has been turned completely down, leaving them sitting in a deafening, terrifying silence. And in that heavy silence, your absolute absence is the loudest thing they have ever experienced. They are looking back and finally realizing that the things they continually chose over you, the fragile ego, the hollow distractions, are entirely meaningless. The characters in this story have swapped roles entirely, and they are utterly lost in the new script. This profound, undeniable shift in dynamics brings us directly to the absolute core conflict of this entire reading. The tension here is not explosive. It isn't a screaming match, a bitter argument, or a dramatic, fiery confrontation. It is far more insidious than that. It is the agonizing, suffocating, silent tension of vast distance and desperately missed timing. It's the incredibly painful, world-shattering realization that two people can deeply love each other, or share a profound, once-in-a-lifetime soul connection, and still completely, tragically miss each other in the dark. The primary conflict right now is their internal, bruising struggle against the vast expanse of time, space, and emotional growth that now solidly separates you. They are looking at the massive emotional distance between you and realizing, with a sickening drop in their stomach, that it was entirely created by their own two hands. They pushed, and so you logically pulled back. They built massive fortified walls, and you eventually, rightfully stopped bloodying your hands trying to climb them. There is a massive, blinding sense of confusion clouding their mind right now. They are agonizingly asking themselves, how on earth did I let this slip right through my fingers? How did I not see the absolute, priceless gold I was holding until it was completely gone from my grasp? It is very easy and highly tempting to look back at the past and harshly label their behavior. It is so easy to simply say they were entirely toxic, or that they were maliciously, intentionally trying to break your heart. But the deep spiritual energy I am seeing suggests a profoundly necessary reframing of this entire narrative. It wasn't necessarily malice that drove them away, it was profound, crippling, paralyzing unreadiness. They may simply not have been ready for the sheer, terrifying depth of the mirror you held up to their soul. Your pure love, your unapologetic authenticity, your natural demand for genuine intimacy. It required them to shed thick layers of trauma and fragile ego that they were absolutely terrified to lose. They weren't running from you, they were running in sheer terror from the massive evolutionary leap you were quietly asking them to take. Now that tragic mistiming is a heavy, suffocating stone sitting directly on their chest, making it hard for them to breathe. The conflict is entirely internal. It is the brutal, exhausting war between their stubborn ego, which desperately wants to pretend everything is fine, and their starving soul, which is aching for the profound connection they foolishly walked away from. They are fighting themselves every single day. They want to rush back in, but they know that the old, manipulative tactics will spectacularly fail. They know that if they come back, they have to come completely correct. They have to magically match the incredibly high vibration you are currently vibrating on, and they are absolutely terrified that they simply do not have the spiritual or emotional stamina to do so. The tension is the suspended, agonizing breath between their desperate desire to reach out and their absolute, paralyzing terror of finding out that they are completely, permanently too late. Now I want to gently but firmly shift the focus entirely onto you, because your energy in this spread is absolutely, undeniably breathtaking. I am looking at the Nine of Pentacles, energy vividly and powerfully manifesting in your energetic field. You seem to be stepping into a vastly stronger, far more unapologetic, and fiercely independent version of yourself. There is a deeply rooted, unshakable sense of self-sufficiency radiating from you right now. It feels as though you have taken all the profound love, all the endless patience, and all the intense emotional labor you were exhausting yourself pouring into this person, and you have finally, beautifully redirected it straight back into your own cup. You are no longer shrinking yourself down to fit into the tiny, restricted, suffocating spaces they conditionally offered you. You have stretched out. You have completely claimed your physical and spiritual space. This isn't just about casually moving on from a breakup, it is about profound, undeniable soul-level growth. You have done the dark, heavy, incredibly solitary shadow work. You sat alone in the burning pain of the separation, you felt it completely without running from it, and instead of letting it permanently break you, you allowed it to fiercely forge you into unbreakable steel. Your immense self-worth is absolutely no longer negotiable. It is no longer tied to their fleeting validation, their sporadic text messages, or their inconsistent, confusing presence in your life. Because of this massive, monumental internal upgrade, you are naturally, effortlessly evolving into a highly magnetic force in this universe. When you completely, truly let go of the desperate, clinging need for a specific outcome, you paradoxically become the absolute most attractive energy in any room you enter. You are vibrating at a pure, undisturbed frequency of wholeness. You are attracting major attention, not just from them as they watch from the shadows, but from the universe at large. Incredible new opportunities, fulfilling new connections, a deeply renewed sense of divine purpose. All of these things are flocking to you simply because you are finally perfectly aligned with your highest self. You aren't operating from a space of desperate lack anymore. You are deeply, firmly anchored in true abundance. This person can feel this monumental shift from absolutely miles away. They can feel that the invisible energetic cord that used to allow them to selfishly siphon your bright energy has been completely, cleanly severed by your own hand. You have powerfully taken your power back, and you are wearing it flawlessly like a crown. You are entirely self-sustained, entirely whole, and that is exactly why they are so completely, utterly mesmerized by you from afar. As we loop back to ground ourselves in the present moment, the overarching themes of this reading are visibly, rapidly intensifying. The primary message remains absolute and undeniable. They are deeply, consistently thinking about you. They are waking up with your name silently on their lips, and they are going to sleep with the vivid memory of your face burned irrevocably into their mind. But let me make this very, very clear. Something fundamental, deeply structural, is actively shifting within them as a direct, undeniable response to the massive energetic shift within you. The stagnant, murky pool of their regret is finally starting to ripple with real movement. The energy is rapidly building toward a massive, unavoidable internal climax for this person. They are rapidly reaching a critical breaking point with their own suffocating silence. The intense burden of carrying these unspoken truths, these heavily guarded, desperately needed apologies, is becoming entirely too heavy for their shoulders to bear alone. They are finally realizing that watching you from the sidelines, silently observing your beautiful, spectacular evolution through a tiny screen or through the whispers of the grapevine, is a brutal form of self-inflicted torture. We are moving incredibly fast toward a moment of profound, world-altering realization for them. The foolish illusion that they can just neatly, quietly pack you away in a dusty box labeled the past is completely, spectacularly shattering. They are realizing with absolute clarity that you were never just a casual option. You were a deeply pivotal, irreplaceable chapter in their spiritual evolution. This intense realization is pushing them directly toward a necessary, impending communication. It might not happen overnight because they are meticulously, anxiously planning exactly how to approach this brand new, incredibly formidable version of you without entirely losing their footing. But an emotional turning point is practically inevitable at this stage. The massive, reinforced dam they built to hold back their overwhelming feelings is showing massive, critical cracks. The internal pressure is simply too high. The absolute truth of how deeply they want you back, and the agonizing, humbling truth of how much they have forcefully changed because of losing you, is bubbling violently to the surface. The heavy silence cannot and will not last forever. Looking softly toward the unfolding horizon of this incredibly complex connection, I want to be very clear and very grounded about exactly where this powerful energy is currently flowing. There is a very strong, highly compelling possibility that this intense internal pressure will eventually, inevitably force their hand. We are looking at an energetic trajectory that could very easily lead to a sudden, highly vulnerable, and completely unexpected point of contact. This wouldn't be a casual, meaningless late-night text or a shallow, breadcrumbing check-in just to test the waters. The heavy energy suggests that if and when they do finally gather the courage to step forward, it will be with a remarkably heavy heart and a profound, desperate desire for genuine, unvarnished clarity. However, I am absolutely not seeing a guaranteed, perfectly neatly tied up, fairy tale romantic reunion written in stone. What I am seeing is the profound, beautiful potential for true emotional resolution. This trajectory could beautifully lead to a massive, much-needed clearing of the heavy air, a defining conversation where all the hidden cards are finally bravely placed face up on the table for both of you to examine. It is a profound opportunity for the deeply buried, agonizing truths to be spoken entirely out loud, for genuine apologies to be offered completely without the heavy, defensive armor of the ego. Whether this ultimately leads to a beautiful, renewed reconciliation or a final, incredibly peaceful closing of the door is entirely unwritten in the stars. It depends entirely, 100%, on the sovereign choices you both make when that pivotal moment finally arrives. But what is incredibly, undeniably clear is that this stagnant situation is absolutely moving toward a necessary, completely new phase. The agonizing limbo, the silent watching from afar, the heavy, suffocating distance, that expired energy is finally dissolving. A beautiful window is opening for profound, undeniable emotional truth. This upcoming, highly anticipated phase is about finding deep clarity, not just between the two of you, but within your own magnificent individual journeys. It's about finally, gently untangling the heavy energetic knots that have kept you both bound to the lingering ghost of the past, allowing both of you to clearly, honestly see the reality of the present moment. It holds the breathtaking potential for deep, permanent healing, regardless of what the final, physical outcome ultimately looks like. As we carefully navigate these incredibly intense, shifting energies together, my most crucial, heartfelt piece of guidance for you today is this: you always unequivocally have the ultimate choice. You are firmly seated in the driver's seat of your own spectacular reality. Please do not allow the simple knowledge that they are heavily thinking of you to violently pull you backward into old, heavy, exhausting patterns of waiting or anxious, breathless anticipation. Trust your own brilliant intuition above absolutely all else. When you sit in complete stillness, what does your own beautiful soul gently tell you? You have worked entirely too hard, shed entirely too many tears, to build this profound, unshakable sense of peace, fierce independence, and radiant self-worth to ever sacrifice it for a connection that does not fully, completely meet you at your current, elevated level. Maintain your acute, grounded awareness. If and when this person eventually returns to your physical reality, observe their actions incredibly closely, rather than just passively listening to the sweet poetry of their desperate words. Do their actual, tangible actions fully match the high vibration of the incredible new life you are currently building? Deepen your profound self-respect today. Continue lovingly tending to your own magnificent garden. Continue passionately watering your own wild dreams, relentlessly pursuing your own unapologetic joy, and fiercely protecting your own precious, beautiful energy. You absolutely do not need to pause your spectacular, divine evolution for anyone on this earth. If they are truly, cosmically meant to walk alongside you in this brilliant new chapter, they will do the heavy, necessary work to rise up and meet you exactly where you powerfully stand. To softly wrap up this incredibly deep reading, I just want to gently summarize the profound, emotional journey we've explored together today. The heavy energy of the past is undeniably lingering, and this person is deeply, acutely feeling the massive, agonizing weight of your total absence. They want you back, but they are completely paralyzed by the absolute, unavoidable truth that the dynamic has irreparably, beautifully changed. But please take a deep, cleansing breath and deeply reassure yourself right now in this very moment. Things are beautifully, perfectly unfolding exactly as they are divinely meant to. You absolutely do not need to force anything, fix anything, or aggressively rescue anyone from their own journey. The universe is flawlessly orchestrating this entire situation entirely behind the scenes, ensuring that all lingering karmic debts are perfectly balanced and all necessary. Profound soul lessons are truly deeply learned. Whatever this powerful connection ultimately becomes, it feels undeniably like you are powerfully moving into something far more aligned, deeply peaceful, and profoundly, beautifully fulfilling. Keep your radiant heart entirely open to your own beautiful, limitless future. Firmly hold your boundaries with pure, unshakable love, and implicitly trust the spectacular, divine journey you are currently on. Thank you so much for beautifully sharing your sacred space and energy with me today.